How's it going, guys? Welcome back to part 2 of this two-part pickup video. If you missed the first one, I'll give you a brief recap as to what happened. So there's a local store near me called the Time Capsule. They had their bargain outlet open and has some games for as low as 50 cents each. They didn't only have games, they had some vinyls, action figures, comic books, and a bunch of other things as well. As a collector, when you hear 50 cents for games, your mind explodes and you need to find out what's going on. Now the first thing that comes to mind when you think 50-cent games is that you're going to be finding a bunch of copies of Madden, NBA games, MLB, things like that. But to be honest, I got a bunch of really quality titles I was finally able to add to my collection. Alright guys, so this includes stops 2 and 3 from the Time Capsule. Now the reason I'm going to combine these together is because between both stops, I didn't grab a whole bunch, or as much as I did grab in the first video. So between both pickups, I added a mixture of some PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, Wii, DS, PlayStation 1, Game Gear, Sega Saturn, N64, NES, and Super Nintendo. So to put a joke aside is, I love N64 sports games, and I'm sure you guys do too. One of my favorite N64 sports games alone is WCW NWO Revenge. Reason is because this game is freaking awesome. And I mean, this game is great. It's fantastic. It's my favorite sports game for the N64. I can't help it, but I grabbed 10 copies and there's some right here. Yeah. Alright, to be honest, yes, I did grab 10 copies of WCW NWO Revenge, and yes, they almost just fell over. No, I was not hoarding them, well, I guess I kind of am, but there were so many copies available. When I'm talking about multiple copies of sports games, there was probably like close to 300 sports games alone. And this is one game that I think that every person who has an N64 should own. This game brings back so many awesome memories, and it is by far one of the best wrestling games on the system. I didn't only really enjoy WCW NWO Revenge, I really enjoyed Warzone. Like, this game is great. And I mean, it was fantastic. Not as good as Revenge, but to be honest, I grabbed, I think, 12 copies of this. Same reason, as a collector, it is a must-own to have some wrestling games in your N64 collection. And I think that a lot of collectors go for the killer games like Conker's Bad Fur Day, the Mario Karts, and things like that, where I think they kind of forget to grab some of these wrestling games. But for 50 cents each, if I run into you, I'm going to give you one of these because you deserve it and you need to have it. Alright, so all jokes aside, yes, I grabbed a lot of wrestling games. No, I'm not going to put them on my shelf to make it look like it's big or anything. I actually don't have Warzone, so one of those is going to be on my shelf. But everything else, I'm going to put those aside and just give them to people as I run into them. And I don't mean physically actually run into them. I also did grab a handful of other sports games as well. I'm not going to go through them all, but I think there's a C6 here and about 9 in this stack right here. They're all sports games, but ones I don't have, not trying to make my N64 collection look massive or anything. It's just, I personally know people who are going for complete N64 who pass up on these games because, you know, they may be $2 or $3 where, you know, I'm not going to spend $2 in Quarterback Club. So if I can give it to you for 50 cents, I'll be more than happy to. So yes, there was about, I think it came to like 36 or almost 40 N64 games I added or purchased that are all sports titles, but for 50 cents each, 40 games, $20, that's a pretty good deal. Also, I did grab one faceless game here. Stay tuned for a future episode to see what I'm actually going to be doing with this game. Alright, so aside from the N64 games, let's hop into the GameCube games I added. So I grabbed 6 altogether. One is missing the manual, but the rest are complete. First one is Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island. A copy of Luigi's Mansion, which is only missing the manual inside. Copy of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Copy of Donkey Konga, which I love this game because, if I remember, it has Blink-182 on it. A copy of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, Attack of the Twonkies. Twonkies? Twinkie? I don't know. But also a copy of Shrek 2. This game is actually one of my guilty pleasures. I really enjoy this game. It's actually pretty fun. Alright, let's knock out some of the Wii games now. I got 3 Wii games. A copy of Destroy All Humans, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Bakugan. I don't know why I grabbed this. This is a game I always see at Five Below that is brand new, sealed for like $2 or $3. 50 cents, why the heck not? So I did also grab some NES games. Nothing really too great, but there's at least one good title out of it. Actually, there's a few. First was a copy of Golf, a copy of Baseball, A half yellow copy of Mario Duck Hunt. A copy of Mario Duck Hunt that looks like my dog took a bite out of, which just the label's kind of torn. Not kind of, really torn. Another copy of Mario Duck Hunt. And a game that's actually pretty surprisingly fine for 50 cents was California Games. Now for the Super Nintendo, nothing spectacular either. Let's see, a copy of Super Caesar's Palace. NCAA Basketball, which I was surprised I didn't already have. Copy of Vegas Stakes. Another copy of Super Caesar's Palace, and yet another copy. All I know is that one of these was actually the, what do you call it? The gold labeled one, Player's Choice, that's it. Alright, so I'm not trying to make this video too boring, but I grabbed a copy of Caesar's Palace on Game Gear. It has the box, it's pretty cool. I grabbed a copy of NBA Jam Tournament Edition for the Sega Saturn. I already have this game complete, but my disc has a couple scuffs on it. So this is actually going to be a disc replacement, which I'm pretty stoked for. 2 DS games, copy of Super Scribblenauts, and a copy of Ultimate Band. I don't know what I'm going to do with both of those. I grabbed a few pretty cool Xbox games as well. Yeah, these are pretty cool. A copy of Star Wars Obi-Wan. NBA Inside Drive 2002. I don't think I actually even meant to grab that. This one, it's okay. NCAA Football 2005 with Topspin. Only reason I grabbed it is because it is one of the double disc games which I like to try to collect for, like with the 360 and the original Xbox. I like to try to get the ones that have like the double game inside. But last was a copy of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Like I said in my first video, this is actually one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games they've actually made. Alright, now on to the PlayStation 2 games. There's some actually really quality titles in here. And one game that I actually found I thought to be really, really neat. But a quality title was a copy of Champions of Norrath. This is a fantastic game. If you don't have this on PlayStation 2, definitely grab it. SOCOM Navy SEALs, or US Navy SEALs, I'm sorry. Rapala Pro Fishing. Way of the Samurai. Tenchu Wrath of the Heaven. Rumble Racing. I actually did play this. This game's actually pretty fun. Copy of Dynasty Warriors 4. Spider-Man 2. Game I've been looking for, Tony Hawk Underground 2. Super Dragon Ball Z. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, one I have been looking for quite some time, and I'm finally freaking so stoked to add it. And last for PlayStation 2, this is a game that just looked really neat. It's Ultimate Spider-Man, the limited edition. Has a really cool front cover. The back cover is really neat as well. The manual alone just looks really sweet as well, and it was just something I saw, and I just really wanted it. It had a really, really neat look to it. Alright, so my battery just died. That's probably why I don't look the same as I just did. But I got some PS1 games I just want to wrap this up with, which are some pretty good titles. There's a few mediocre ones, but the rest of them are actually really solid. First is a copy of NASCAR 2001. Copy of Crash Bash. 2 copies of Twisted Metal 3. A loose copy of Doom. Tetris Plus. Tomb Raider Chronicles. This is a Tomb Raider game I actually really don't see too often. Tomb Raider The Last Revelation. Oddworld's Abe's Exodus. Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 3. And last was a long box version of Doom. Looks like this game may have just been resurfaced in the past, and what Time Capsule does is they don't sell resurfaced games. But it is really cool to add this. Doom is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Not a huge fan of it on PlayStation 1, but on PC when I was a kid, that was a game I've probably spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours playing. Alright, so I want to wrap up this video by saying thank you to Time Capsule for having such an amazing sale. I was able to add over 200 games to my collection, and not only that, I was able to buy a bunch of games I'm going to be able to give to a lot of friends. If you guys like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up in the comments below. Let me know if you'd buy lots like these for this cheap. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely do so you can check out future content, but as always, thank you guys so much for watching and have a great week hunting.